Daily Chat with Andy the Gabby Cabby, live from the old jam jar. Hope you're all doing all right and you're all here. Good to see you all. I see we've got a few people in the chat already, which is something very good. So before we do anything, let's have a quick look through and see who we got and say some hellos. I think I'm just about on time tonight, which is pretty cool. Alan Pape, hello, good to see you. One of the regular guys. Welcome. Appears to be a shooting in Brooklyn subway station, injuring 16. Attacker not been found yet. That's right, honesty and truth. Anna Perkins, hello to you. Sound, hello to you. Didn't he get married? Yeah, he could have done. Hello, S. Is that S. Croy? Healing Vibrations, good to see you. A few comments going on. Alan Edge, hello, good to see you. Bridget, good to see you. You're all jumping in there. It's nice to see everybody. Make sure you hit the like button, by the way, if you just joined. Let's get the old chatty up and running. Hello, Blood Nose, good to see you. Hi, Mum. Honesty and Truth is in, good to see you as well. And various others, and I'll try and catch up with all the hellos as I go. Yeah, one thing that amazes me is how small this world of ours has become with regard to information and what we find out. Hi, Jane Griffiths and John Kent, good to see you, and William as well, and Gary Moores, yes. And something can happen drastic thousands of miles away, and we get to hear about it here, and vice versa. It's absolutely nuts. I mean, I'm quite fond. I've never been to New York. I've never been. It's a place I'd like to go, and by virtue of the fact I've made friends with some New Yorkers, namely some retired NYPD guys, I'm actually quite fond of the place, and I'd love to go and see it and everything else. Hi, Julie Baldwin. Good to see you. And when I read, stuff that happens over there, which is really quite horrific, it's mad, absolutely mad to me that something like that can happen in this day and age. I mean, if this has worked out all right, which I think it has, yes. There we go. 10 people shot and gunman who opened gas canister on Brooklyn subway hunted by police. Now, I think that's actually upgraded to 16 have been injured so far, and some of these pictures are awful. I don't know if you can, but there you go. That's some of the pictures of the subway. And I've heard various reports and various documentaries online about problems on the subway where you've got homeless there and, crime and the good old-fashioned thing of jumping the turnstile, not paying for your fare, basically, and people coming in that way. A manhunt is underway after at least 10 people were shot in the New York City subway during the morning rush hour on Tuesday. The bloody incident occurred at a subway station in Brooklyn, where a man, reportedly wearing a gas mask and a construction vest, has been throwing a gas canister onto a train and then opening fire, law enforcement officials have said. So imagine that, down there, straight in, confusion reigns, open fire. Whoever this is, they had hostile intentions. They wanted to send a message and kill people. That very much stinks a bit. At the moment, they're not saying it's a terrorist incident. They're merely saying it's a premeditated act by somebody they haven't caught yet. Early reports said several undetonated devices have been found, but officials later clarified that there were no known explosive devices on the subway. So they were devices, but not explosives. So what were they? Smoke generators? We don't know. But, 4 of the victims were found at the 36th Street subway station in Sunset Park, while a 5th was found at the 25th Street station in Greenwood Heights. At least 16 people were injured in total, 10 by gunfire, fire officials say. So you've got the up-to-date figures of the 16 there. 5 people were left in critical but stable condition. Officials said during a press briefing No deaths have been reported yet. The 16 victims were taken to area hospitals to be treated for gunshot wounds and smoke inhalation, and a pregnant woman is apparently among those hospitalised. I mean, look at that picture there. Armed response unit on a street in New York. You know, imagine that happening in your own neighbourhood. It's an awful picture. While responding to reports of smoke at the 36th Street station in Sunset Park, officials found several people shot in the station. Is this automatic weapon fire? What is it? The shooting broke out just before 8:30 a.m. So 9, 10, 11, 12, that'd be about 1:30 in the afternoon, our time. Awful. I mean, I remember this with 9/11 when this kicked off. We all found out about that, later on in the day over here. The suspected gunman reportedly stepped onto the subway train wearing a gas mask, opened the canister and tossed the device, flooding the train with smoke. He then opened fire on the train and subway platform before escaping. So, what was the smoke? Part of the escape plan? Was it the confusion? Where did he appropriate the canister from? Where did the weapons come from? It's mad. Police say the gun used during the attack may have been jammed, potentially preventing further injuries. I've fired weapons before, and you're sitting there going, da, 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 and all of a sudden they can stop working. Graphic photos of the incident being shared across social media show blood-stained subway platforms, injured people being carried away from the stations on stretchers. Video capture panicked passengers fleeing a smoke-filled subway car. That must be terrifying at the best of times, eh? I mean, they're absolutely cramped down there. So, best wishes to the families of those involved and the victims, and hope whoever has been involved in this makes a recovery. The NYPD's bomb squad is on the scene investigating. Officials are searching for as many as 4 packages they've deemed suspicious, but the report earlier said non-explosive, so we'll see what happens. The suspect, who apparently dressed similar to a Metropolitan Transportation Authority worker, was described as a man of colour with heavy build, standing 5'5" and 175 to 180 pounds. He was reportedly wearing a green construction vest and a grey hooded sweatshirt. Police Commissioner Keechant Saul said during a press briefing. So is he a disgruntled rail employee, or is he someone posing as such so he could get in and out the place? Who knows? Police units are now searching the city's empty subways tunnels for the suspected gunman, who they believe may have jumped into the tracks and fled. I mean, that's a hell of a risk in itself, isn't it? Arrests have been made. No arrests have been made. Police do not believe at this stage it was an act of terrorism, but say it was likely a premeditated attack. Well, of course it was premeditated. You go down there with an automatic weapon and smoke grenades or smoke canisters, whatever they were, and cause chaos like this. It implies some level of planning about it, doesn't it? Hang on a minute. Shut that door. Around 10 a.m, police said there were no active explosive devices in the area of the shooting. And there's a thing here from the NYPD News. In regard to the multiple people shot at the 36th Street subway station in Brooklyn, there were no active explosive devices at the time. Any witnesses are asked to call at NYPD Tips at #800-577-TIPS. Please stay clear of the area. More information provided as and when. Power on the N&R trains is off as police search for the suspect. I assume people in New York know N&R. Trains running on the D, N and R lines were delayed because of an investigation. New York City Mayor Eric Adams has been briefed on the situation. New York Governor Kathy Hochul tweeted that she's been briefed on the developing situation in Brooklyn, and that her office will work with the MTA and NYPD as the investigations continue. Schools in the area are also sheltering in place as police search for a gunman. So we have somebody who's decided to go down to the subway station in Brooklyn at the busiest time of day with weapon and gas canisters in hand, where there's more likely to be a higher concentration of people all over the place, and wreaked havoc, injured people, shot people, complete annihilation. Now, this to me stinks of pre-planning. Have they gone down there and have they, surveyed the scene, looked at the timings, looked at the cameras? It'd be interesting to see, if it comes out that there's camera footage of somebody down there looking that matches this description, and also where did these weapons come from? Where did the smoke? I know you can pick up a gun pretty easily in America, but what about these smoke things? Was it a smoke grenade, a smoke canister? Who knows? There are various questions, aren't there? But at the end of the day, there's a lot of injured people there, and I hope that they recover from it. When I first Goody, they tend to deny that, don't they? They tend to deny that in the press, or they don't say that at all with a lot of things. But you make a very valid point there. It's when I read it, I thought, oh God, not again, because it always seems, New York gets something, 9/11, the worst of all that we remember all those many years ago. I mean, that's, crazy times. Anyway, let's get back to the chat, shall we? But before I do, may I ask that if you haven't done so already, please hit the like button on the chat. Be good to see you. Do that, get the old algorithm talking about us, and it's good to see you all communicating and everything as usual. If you're new to the channel and you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing as well. Who's this? Goody Two Shoes. Hi, Patriots. You look like a new person, Goody Two Shoes. Your name doesn't ring a bell to me. So hello to you and welcome. If you are a new person, Mark Preston. Good evening, friends. Hello to you. It may start here, Matt Michael. Yeah, when I read the report of what had happened, and they said weapons fire and all of this sort of thing, my mind went somewhere else over the other side of the globe, and I was making connections initially, but reading between the lines, I do wonder whether it's somebody that's disgruntled or somebody that's got a chip on their shoulder and wanted to mow down innocence. Is it an issue with regard to race, creed? It could be any number of things. And I'll follow this the best I can from our point of view over the next couple of days and see what happens. Let's go back and see what people have got to say about it. I wanted to discuss that initially for the first 10 minutes or so, because it's important that we're made aware of these things, and we can all club together. There should be full disclosure, faces obscured in deference to family of the affected. People need to see full aspects of that which they take offence to, no matter how horrific. Sorry, true. He said 8:30 in his preview, Code Lord. I thought I put it for 8:35, Mick. My apologies if I got that a little bit wrong, but I had to dash out the door and get that done. M. Perry just retracted a message, not sure why that is. Evola sunglasses, anger issues. Maybe. Do people turn to that when they've snapped, maybe? Man as a species is its own worst enemy. Somebody said to me once, we're probably the worst thing that ever happened to this planet. Maybe they're right. I don't know. Maybe they're right. Ravensthorn, give it a few days for the mainstream media to write their own version of events, and I wonder how this event will be remembered in history. As ever, and we've been seeing this happen over the last couple of months, haven't we? Hi, Andy. We might have to send the SAS to New York to stop the mayhem. I'm sure they've got their own ways of dealing with that sort of thing, Harry. So sorry for the people in New York. Hope the man is found soon. Well, the last couple of things that I've seen on the subways, I mean, not as horrific as this, but still horrific in itself, where people are getting shoved in front of subway trains. They seem to be catching the culprit fairly quickly. They just swarm everywhere. They investigate everything, and they do their job well. And they get a collar very quickly. So hopefully it will happen. Bridget, how is that not terrorism? Well, I agree with you there, because it's obviously automatic weapons fire. Reading the description and reading between the lines, smoke in an underground enclosed space will cause nothing but confusion and panic, will ultimately evade, it will enable the perp to evade capture. He was wearing a gas mask, which means he knew what he was doing. Was there anything untoward with that smoke? Was it just smoke, or was there anything of a chemical nature in it? All these questions need answering. Biden wants to ban guns. It could be a false flag attack. Well, you say guns, but it's more ghost guns he was mentioning. But I mentioned this yesterday. I don't want to harp on about it, but the Americans have this inbuilt right to carry a firearm. It's called the Second Amendment, and you get this, and people end up carrying to protect themselves. There's going to be firearms in America, no matter what we think and what we feel about it. There always will be. I can't see any president anywhere. It's like nuclear weapons all over the world. The only way it's going to end is if we all put them down together. But then you're going to get the odd, person here and there that might still keep a few. They say it's not terrorism, so is it targeted? Bloodnose says. Yeah, it seems targeted at the innocent civilians or on the subway to me. Now, why? Is it against the subway system? Is it against the population? Picking on weak targets? As I said, so many questions. Kim Alliston, we visited New York 14 years ago. We had a really good holiday. Really sad to hear how things have changed with all the open crime attacks in some of the subways, etc. I want to go. I'm desperate to go, to be honest. As soon as I find an opportunity and a way, I will go. I mean, there's certain parts of New York, from what I understand, don't go near. But there are others that aren't so bad, really. Jerry Georgopoulos, good to see you in the chat. Hello to you, my friend. Fern Wright as well. Hi, John. Never know when Andy's on now. Mick, I try to come on about 8:30ish most nights. The only reason I won't is if there's an airport running away, and I try and tell you if I can, but that's not always possible. But I do try to be consistent as possible. Sharon Shooter, Mick will have to stop meeting like this. That's the old one, isn't it? Hello, Lynn Harrison. Good to see you. Yes, John Hawkins. I think we can all guess what kind of person it was. Well, short of somebody who snapped. You could be right, but we need to leave that until it comes out. Sent you 20 more bird drawings, Andy. Thank you, Jody. I saw a nice message you left me with one of them as well, and I appreciate it. Andy, that's your lighting sorted out. Yeah, I noticed that. I got that nice glare off the tablet, didn't I? Hey, let's try that, actually. So if I put that there, turn that off. I'm still here. Look, it's spooky. But I think we'll stick with the old shut that door for now. It's it kind of inbuilt. We'll have to have that on a T-shirt. Shut that door. Remember 9/11? That photo reminds me of then. Yeah, that's a horrific day I will never forget. When 9/11 actually happened, I didn't know anything about what was going on until I left work. The place that I worked at, we had no access to television or radio at all. And at 5 o'clock in the evening, when I got in my car, the first words I heard were the USA has been attacked. And as you can imagine, all sorts was going through my head. It was bad. New York, like other democratic-run cities, so dangerous, Putin says. Yeah, there was a map, wasn't there, Putin, of Democrat and Republican-run cities with crime rates. There was an interesting statistic, and it was very telling, very telling. Hi, Lorna. Dave Bryan, hello, Andy. Awful shooting in New York. Yeah, absolutely. It's tragic when that happens because so many people are involved, and you know, each of those people have families, and so many others are affected all over the place. It's absolutely nuts. Well, hello everybody. If you haven't done so already, please hit the like button on the chat. Let's get it up to a ton. And welcome to the daily chat with Andy the Gabby Cabby in his car. We do this every day. I want to try and, when I can, sometimes make it a little bit more themed, just so we have a discussion point. You know, there are other days where maybe I can't be asked, and we just have the general old random chitter chatter that we do. But it's nice to talk about world events, specifically sometimes. And when you see something like that, it needs pulling apart and investigating. When are you going to get your light fitted, Andy? You keep saying you need to get it. Actions speak louder than words. Yeah. My late stepfather used to say talk's cheap, and it's very true. And unfortunately, I'm very guilty of that. Remember, bid 7 called us down while still standing, courtesy of BBC reporting. It's on record. Andy, why don't you make videos of your travels? Yeah, I could do the odd vlog every now and again, couldn't I, John Harris? That's a good idea. Just a little ditty to let you know where I am. 9/11, it was meant to teach the ambassador to the USA in Berlin, shut all embassies down with roadblocks, etc., and not money. Shootings in USA are never ending. We don't even hear about that many. Same as all the stabbings and shootings here in the UK. Yeah, I mean, there was the recent one with Naomi Irion, if I say her name correctly, a young girl that was brought up around diplomatic protection for most of her life, and wanted to move to America and just live the normal life of a normal girl. And you know, she was kidnapped by this monster who effectively carjacked her. And she was found buried in a shallow grave shortly thereafter, having been shot twice, once in the head, once in the chest. It's a tragic waste of life, and it's going on too much. Some days you should film the airports you pick up from, Harry Arlu. I try to get some footage of the terminals when I'm in there. I did a quick 10 seconds of the South Terminal the other day, and the problem I had initially, people were saying, you can't film in there, it's a secure area, you know. And I actually wrote to Gatwick, and I wrote to Heathrow about 5 years ago and said, look, I'm an airport transfer firm. I just want to video my travels just for promotional purposes. And, you know, that's all there is. I mean, somebody mentioned hooking a camera up to the front, and I don't know if this will work, but let me show you. There we go. See, I've got that thing up there. I don't know if you can see it too well, but that's a dash cam, and I bought a little addition to it as well, so it gets out the back and out the front too, and I can stream the footage through to my phone. So it gives me a few more options. I might have a little play with that if people are interested. Matt Michael in Crawley, Gatwick Airport. Love to meet up for a coffee when we can. Yeah, I want to do that if I'm in, you know, spitting distance of a subscriber. I mean, there's one, John Kent, who's in the chat at the moment, that doesn't live very far away from me. I've got a hell of a shit week with work this week. It's very, very busy. But I want to try and meet up with him next week. Yeah, Mick, we have stabbings here instead. It happens everywhere, don't we? You know, Sadiq's London, and you had Cressida Dick, the Metropolitan Police Commissioner, walking out of her job, saying that all the figures are down. I've done a good job, and nobody's getting hurt, and it's all 100% bullshit. All absolute crap. John Harris, George Galloway. I know who he is. I know what he is and what he does, but I don't listen enough to, form an opinion. I think he's a very controversial character, definitely anti-establishment because, they all hate him, which probably means he's doing something right. Apart from that, I don't have much of an opinion of him. He's not one that I follow the exploits of very regularly. Cosmic War Toad, no doubt. Tomorrow people will be crying Fifth Amendment and right to bear arms. Yeah, quite possibly. A woman and her son were shot while they lay in bed in their home. A street gunfight in Philadelphia. Stray bullets went through below the window and hit the mum in the leg and the son in the arm. Both are okay. I heard something similar about a similar story. There was a gunfight somewhere in a street, and a stray bullet went through a building and hit someone in the head. And unfortunately, they weren't okay. It's going on all the time. Putin has saved Biden, question mark. I saw Vladimir Putin on the news earlier, and he was talking about creating world starvation if he doesn't get his own way. Imagine that, causing floods of migrants going that way all of the time, and starving us all out. And there will be consequences if we get involved in Ukraine. I think he's getting a little bit concerned, really. We had reports, and I think the Daily Express was one of the first to break this last night, that a chemical weapon, by the sounds of it, has been dropped on, is it Mariupol? I never know how you pronounce it, in Ukraine, and people have been suffering from respiratory failure and all this sort of thing, and they're trying to verify whether or not it was Russia. Now, we all know the situation there. We all have our opinions of what's going on there, so we have to wait and see. And then the Daily Mail, Metro, and a couple of others broke that news, but I noticed the BBC have shoved it into the back there somewhere, and they're more concentrating on their lefty nonsense that they usually do. But we'll have to keep an eye on that. I suppose it might warrant another 5-hour visit by our Boris in his whistle and flute, like he's walking down the street. I mean, I went to see my father today. He's ex-army, and I was talking about Boris's visit to the Ukraine, and the first thing he said was, no flat jacket. Where was the flat jacket? Where was the protection? Why are you walking down the street? And we both called bullshit on it. That particular moment, all very staged and very choreographed, and I have to ask the question, where was it? Where was it really? The shushy policy, M. Perry says you might be on there somewhere. But where are we? Christine Ayres, Boris was in Poland, not Ukraine. Laugh out loud. It had to be something like that, Christine. It had to be. Boris is Teflon, no bullets or shit. Yes, it's coming out about who's getting fined for... Hang on, please, shut that. Who's getting fined for, all these lockdown breaches in Downing Street. And apparently Boris and old Dishy Rishi have got one. And Boris said, I'm terribly sorry. I shouldn't have breached lockdown. By the way, I won't resign. The guy is Teflon, and all this war stuff going on, I think it's saved his ass. Richie Sunak needs to go. When I say go, I mean go to prison, because fines will be absolutely nothing to him. He's a billionaire. Well, him and his missus are loaded, aren't they? Let's face it. We'll never know what exactly happened in Russia and China. No, we won't, Lynn. Somebody somewhere will know, but it's all under the carpet. I've got someone in here, Caprice, who's just said something in what looks like Russian, and all I'll say is "Niet, no, no comprende, spasiba." That's about the length of my Russian, I'm afraid, girl. Andy, what are your thoughts on Priti Patel's plans about those dinghy divers being sent to Rwanda for processing? Jerry Georgopoulos asks. This was actually in the press a few days ago, and I noticed it's been mentioned again today. Now, a similar model happened down Australia way. I think it was actually, off the coast. What's it? Is it Transylvania? So something like that. And basically, every time they came, they scooped them up and sent them somewhere else, and eventually they stopped coming. It worked, and they get one every now and again, but it's cooperation. As for sending them to Rwanda, I think it's more government bullshit. Tasmania, that's it. Thank you very much. Why? I was thinking of Count Dracula when I said Transylvania. Mind you, same thing. Have you seen Spitting Image? Yeah, it will involve cooperation. I think, let's send them there. And the Rwandans are going to say fuck right off, basically. They're not going to have any of it, are they? And then we're stuck with the same problem. I think we're all having smoke blown up our arse, to be quite honest. Michael May, hi Andy in the chat. Good to see you. Samuel L. Saxon, hello to you as well. Yeah, I had this discussion about the dinghy divers. You could almost give the Ukrainians dinghies. Yeah, it'd be an easy way to evacuate out of there. They'd be straight in the door. It's absolute fallacy. It really is. Let's go Peppa Pig, Alan Hedge says. I know who you're referring to there. Wonderful. Tracy, hello to you. Good to see you. Born in the woods. Up. Yeah, everything's up. I'm up. Everyone's up. Well, I'll be going to sleep soon. Well, not for a little while yet, but there you go. Evening, Andy, but late tonight. It's Will Baker. Good to see you. And Neats, good to see you, my friend. Hope you are well as well. We got good numbers in the chat tonight, and that's really good. I appreciate everybody. This is the daily chat with Andy the Gabby Cabby. Usually I just put the live on and we have a bit of a free-for-all and just talk about any old crap, basically. But who's this? I'm so swaggy, is that it? Well, hello anyway. I wanted to try something a bit different on a couple of occasions and just have a more of a thing to discuss. And I've got this thing, the old Samsung tippy tappy tablet thingy, so I can pull some news articles up on there and we can talk about things a bit more specifically and then have a good old natter afterwards. That's what I feel like doing, so we'll see how that goes. It's Emra. Oh, okay, Emra, so you've changed your screen name, have you? That's all good. No, I haven't seen Factual Breakdown so far, Julie. I had an email from her a couple of days ago. I'm not sure what's going on, but I know with some personal stuff, she can't always make all of them all of the time, which is fair enough, because we all have our own personal stuff in reality to deal with, don't we? So that's all good. What do you prefer, Sir Andy Gabbalot or Sir Andy Gabbalot? Well, I gab a lot, so we can have Sir Andy Gabbalot, can't we? Nukes are scary. Have you seen a photo of the window cleaner in Hiroshima? He was evaporated into the building and his shadow of him stood on the ladder is still there. Scary, yeah. I mean, the thing is with nukes, if you're caught at ground zero, it will be over so fast you won't know anything about it. That's some, I would call it a saving grace, but is it? No one wants that. No one wants that. I mean, Putin at the moment's having a go at Finland and Sweden, isn't he? Because they're talking about NATO membership, and I read a thing on the news earlier that some missiles have been seen on railway heading in that direction. So I'm wondering whether he's going to piss them off next and start shooting things. That could end very badly for him. I mean, what is going on? What is going on? A blogger on YouTube said he's seen the dinghy divers at Dover with mobile phones and all wearing good clothes. I can believe it. I can absolutely believe it, and it makes you wonder what's going on. I mean, the thing is with Dover at the moment as well, you can't get in and out of the place. It's impossible. I mean, I live in Margate in Thanet, and you know where that is. It's as far to the arse end of the pimple on the southeast you can get, really, without falling into the sea. And you come here via the M2, straight down the M2 and in. But the problem is, at the moment, they're diverting all the traffic off the M20 and down the M2 to what we call Brenley Corner, pick up the A2, and then down towards Dover. That all gets jammed up. I got caught this morning on my way back from Southampton, and on the M20 at the moment, between junction 8 and 11, I think it is, which is a good 20 miles, it's shut, and they're just processing lorries slowly, and the official diversion route there is about an hour long, an hour out of the way. I'm not fucking going around there, no way. I'd rather drive across the farm fields. It's absolutely ridiculous. And where, a lot of it is P&O, where the capacity's gone because P&O completely fucked it up for everybody. And they're saying they're going to, I think it's Good Friday now, they're going to recommence operations. I believe it when I see it, to be honest with you, but it's not helping. And the fuel as well, it's mad. We have big problems around here, around Thanet, with fuel. We can't get it. We're getting a delivery every now and again, and then as soon as somebody puts on Facebook there's fuel at ABC, we're all screwed because everybody goes and runs and gets it quickly. It's not a good situation. I've not bothered. I just fill up outside of Thanet, and that's it. Emraj just said, I love your lives. I never know what you're talking about, but I always watch it anyway. Well, it's an education, Emraj. Alan Edge, off on a tangent again, get out. My cousin flew back from New York today. He was in Brooklyn on Saturday at a basketball game. Yeah. No fuel anywhere in the Medway area, Michael Watson says. What about Farthing Corner? Or, sorry, the Medway services, as they call it these days. What's going on there? Because that's one of the places we have been able to get in. Folkestone, full of boat people, young men with new phones, Sports Direct's bag, new stuff where they're coming in daily. Yeah, Jesus. Tony, Andy, divers in Hawley near Gatwick. All with iPhones, shopping for top-of-the-range clothes. What's the situation with the hotels, Tony, around Gatwick? I mean, I usually end up at the Premier Inn and the Hilton, and also the Premier Inn round the back of the Shell garage off the North Terminal. I don't usually drop a lot to the ones in town. I'm trans, as you know, but I fear for the kids in 2022. As one celeb family decided to raise their 7-year-old as a girl. That's child abuse, in my opinion. As a child can't be 100% sure what they want. Christine, I know you identified as a man when we first encountered each other. You came out and was honest with what you were to us after a while, and you're very, very brave for doing that. We're all, people say you're born that way, and it takes you a while to realise, and then others say different things. Now, to me, we're a product of our upbringing and a product of our education and a product of our life experiences, born by who we mix with and what happens to us. And as parents, all we can do, and I'm speaking from experience here, is look after and nurture that child to the best of our abilities. and give them the best chance we can of making their way in the world. You're born a boy or you're born a girl. I don't give two fucks about all this stuff in the news. It's basic biology. But what goes on up here is dependent on how you live your life going forward. And you might get to a point and you might experience this and think, well, hang on a minute, why am I, and then you might change that particular aspect of you. So I'm just an old gammon. I'm a typical geezer, and that's the way I see it. And I have no problem with all of this. I respect people's wishes if that's what they want to do. I have problems with the way society sees it and what society allows, but it's you're right, it is a concern when you try and force this situation on children at such a young age where they don't understand it. It's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. So I keep a very close eye on this with my kids, because I will not go down that road with them, and I won't allow it. It's up to them at the end of the day. That's how I feel about it. Okay now. Okay, thanks, Neats. I don't know why you got buffer in there. Carrie Johnson also got a fine. Yeah. Well, I think half of them got bloody fines, didn't they? Tony Whitworth, new bills in Maryland and California legal 28 days after birth, but they think we call it abortion. Infanticide, never. It'll always be 100%. Yeah. Cove Lord, was that meant for me? Michael May. Christine Ayres, keep safe yourself. The world's gone mad. Not you. We're in it to support you. Hundreds of divers around Gatwick area, Andean Hotel. Yeah. And, I have people that I have to take to Gatwick that need a hotel, and sometimes they luck out. They just don't get it. I had to go through 5 years of psychiatric help. Was not 100% sure till I was in my early 30s. I think under 18s should not be forced into this when they do not know what it is. How old are you, Christine? I know you shouldn't ask a lady their age, but I'm just curious what the age gap is between you and myself, really. Very mature way of looking at the situation. Well done, my friend. Yeah, definitely. A spade is a spade. Someone thought they can make money from feelings. Yeah, they certainly did. It's so complicated, so complicated. Mike Alligators, Andy, I don't understand anything about modern day. You come from a particular time. It's mad, isn't it? If the vehicle is deemed too dirty, it could be ruled by the police to pose a potential risk to our ability to drive. Drivers can be fined on the spot if they don't take good care of their vehicles. I better keep out of their way then. Never stay at the Europa. Okay. Chrissy Williams, I never got a fine. I got a sorry. You've seen the videos anyway. Yeah, I think I've still got those videos, Chrissy, on my Facebook page, actually, when you got purloined by the old Bill. Go and have a look, folks. She gives them what for. My dad would have literally beat me to death if he was still alive, as he was Irish and tough. He's very old-fashioned, and me, I'm 35 now, but yeah, that's one reason I waited so long. Yeah. Gene Whitehead, Avon representative, please ask your son to ensure my daddy cannot join our chat community. Okay. Plenty of petrol around Gatwick surrounding areas. I haven't had a problem with that, Tony. Haven't had a problem with that up till now. It's one of the places I've been able to get it. I was let down by the Shell garage the other day at Gatwick, but I managed to get it with no problem. Julie Baldwin, isn't it funny Rishi denied going to any of the parties and did a disappearing act, but still got a fine? Yeah, it's public image with that lot, isn't it, Julie? They just don't want to be seen to be made to look bad with the public at large. You know, it's all image control. You could even go to a supposed war zone in your suit and look good. I'm never going to let him live that down because I think it was completely ridiculous. Meanwhile, there's other things going on in the world. Tony Whitworth, less than the elites. Mark Jones, hi. Andy, please can you tell? Okay, I'll keep an eye out for you, definitely. Alan Pate, Christine is my friend was 48 before she came out. I was there to see what you have to go through. It's never easy. I'll always be here for you. That's nice, Alan, and that's the thing about this community we have here. It's we all look out for each other, and it's wonderful. I had trouble this morning getting fuel. It's gone up again. I think the government should subsidise petrol and diesel for people who need to go to work. We should be paying 20p a litre less. A lot of us cab drivers have the old fuel cards where we get a bit of a discount on per litre, but it doesn't always work. It doesn't always work. Keith James, I don't care how anyone identifies, as long as we can all still laugh at ourselves and at each other. Yeah, that's it. That's a big part of life, isn't it, Keith? You bang on there, bang on. Must have been very tough with your dad, Christine. Yeah, it's you make your own choices in your life, don't you? And you always wonder what your parents think and those around you. But at the end of the day, you are your own person. You have your own choices to make. It's really very simple, I'm afraid. It's one of life's little things. What's the next UK gas and electric power blackout? Oh, Jesus. What is that? That's never going to work, is it? Let's face it. Every single building, every single house, every single dwelling in the whole UK would have to go for a significant amount of time for this to work. You'll get the odd sporadic pocket of trouble here and there, and they won't give two shits. They'll say, what a virtual signalling bunch of tosspots you all are, and they'll just let it go. It'll carry on regardless. It's them against us, as always. Would it not help if you cabbies went electric? Thought it would. Yeah, Mark, there's problems with that. I've got a cab driver that I use that's got a hybrid, and he can nip up and down the motorway all day long, and he gets about 70 to the gallon when I probably get 40. But if you go full electric, the cost of this vehicle, for example, an electric version of it, would be completely prohibitive. I was in Crawley the other day. I was just killing some time before a job, and I had a discussion with a cab driver about the fares up there and the fares down where we are. And there is a very, very big noticeable difference between the two, and he couldn't believe what I was telling him. And to get a 50 or 60,000 pound electric people carrier, which has got to last me for an amount of time, although the mileage may be there eventually, it's just not worth it right now. I think if you're driving around town, just doing normal cab fares, that's a different kettle of fish. That isn't too bad, because there are charging points around, and some of them are quite nippy still. But the problem is, and the problem always will be until they sort this out, the degradation, and more importantly, the replacement cost of the batteries in the cars. Because until they bring that down, forget it. It's not going anywhere. With everything that's happening with Ukraine and over the world, and we're all suffering from fuel shortages, electricity problems, and everything else. They need to drop this green crap, because it's going to kill us all. We're not going to be able to afford to live. And when you get the likes of Martin Lewis saying that civil unrest isn't far away, and wear a body warmer and a heated pair of socks, it's I don't know where we're going, what's happening. This is the daily chat with Andy the Gabby Cabby, folks. We started off talking a little bit about what was happening in Brooklyn, New York, with that sad state of affairs with the shootings and the gas canister, the old smoke bomb thing, getting lobbed in the underground, and we've branched off into various other things as we always do, and it's damn good to see you all as normal. If you haven't done so already, please hit the thumbs up button on the chat. Let's see if we can get that up to 150, shall we? That'll be a nice round number for the end. And if you're new here to Andy the Gabby Cabby, and you've only just started watching us, please consider subscribing to the channel as well. That would be cool. And there are other ways and other things you can do with the channel as well, be it support or finding us on other social media channels. You can see all that in the description also. So thank you very much. I am, after all, just a normal guy, a regular cab driver who has some things to say and has made some lovely friends on this platform. And we do this chat every single day. And I've noticed I'm actually getting back up into the realms of what I was doing. We're at 50 minutes and counting, and my voice is still here. I've had big problems where I've had the after effects of the old kung flu, where it just sticks around here and you can't talk after a while. It's a bit nutty, really. That's 154 likes. Well done, everybody. Thank you very much. People who advocate green taxes are the ones who can afford to pay them. Dead right. They're not predicting food shortages, they're planning it. Soon they'll be recalling all food products. We had that with a packet of oh god, what are they, Kinder eggs the other day. My wife bought them, and apparently they had salmonella in them or something. It's mad. We're a long way off full electric cars. The infrastructure isn't there, John H. And the other thing, John, is electric actually the answer? You know, it's is it the answer really? Let's face it. I don't think it is long term. Somebody's just said what I was thinking. Hydrogen cars. It's got to go down that road. You should get a tablet case that comes with a keyboard. Yeah, my one at the moment, it's a Samsung Galaxy thingamabob. Couple of messages there which I'll have to read. One of which off Rafi telling me off that I'm not uploading enough. It's just one of them, and it's like that. I've had it a while now. Might be due for an upgrade, maybe. We'll have to see about that. See if we can get something a bit more flash to go with everything else that's going on. I'm just having a look through here. The government put a percentage towards new cabs for cabbies. Yeah, they keep offering grants. I mean, good old Lord Emperor Highness Sadiq of London keeps saying that, you know, they'll give grants to cab drivers to replace them with electric. Don't work, because the amount they're giving and the value and the cost of a replacement, again, it's not worth it. I certainly wouldn't do it, not with my job. I do too many miles too often. I mean, this morning I went to Gatwick from mine, that's 90 miles ish, and then I went from Gatwick down to Southampton, pick up from there, and then back home again. So I probably did 300 miles today. On a single charge, I'd have to have stopped somewhere, probably, and it's just not worth it to me. The one thing I saw was Ian Dale had a right old, you know, moan about his electric car and what a pain in the arse it was to charge it up on the way somewhere. And I think it put him off the idea of using it for any long trips from that point on. I expect, Andy, your motor will be in the charging pod for a fair bit of time. Oh, this one would, Mark, definitely. Helium vibrations, point taken several times. I have noticed it's one of those where I take note but don't say. Don't you worry about that. I've clued in what you're telling me. Elon Musk plans to upload human minds to robots. Let's pray he doesn't use Joe Biden's mind. Oh, Christ. Could you imagine a robot like that? Lorna McKenzie, only good thing was he taught me how to fight, so I'm able for the crazy people who hate LGBTQ. In Spain, sold out of veg oil because they're all putting it in their cars. Yeah, it's got to happen, isn't it? Sorry not to be contributing much. Got my grandson on a sleepover. That's all right, Didion. Grandchildren are great, aren't they? You can give them back, or so I'm told. I haven't got that far yet myself, but that's all good. I lost both my parents during lockdown. Couldn't go to Wales to see them, give them a send off while Doris and Co were paying. Yeah, it's left a very sour taste in people's mouths, hasn't it? This whole thing. We were told to stay at home, protect the NHS, and save lives. Meanwhile, what was happening in Downing Street? Suitcases full of booze, and all the rest of it. Now my mobile phone's playing up. Rishi and fellow MPs should be required to live as a pauper for a few days in order to realise art needs better. Michael Portillo. I've said this before. There was a programme years ago where certain people were given, I think it was JSA to live on actually for a period of time, and they were told, live on this. And he said at the end of the day that he did not have the slightest idea what real life was like for a lot of people and how they were struggling. And if he realised what he'd just been subjected to, as in a dose of reality, then he may have made some different decisions. And a lot of these people, you had conservatives who come from rich backgrounds, investment bankers, investment families, highly educated in private schools, probably went straight into politics from day one. And then you had, lefty Labour who were apparently for the working person, and not so much now. They're all highly educated Oxford toffs, all born from the same breed. They really need a dose of what it really is like to live our lives, and then they can maybe make better decisions on that basis. That's what I think anyway. I think we're in for a short, sharp shot there somewhere. They just they haven't got it. They haven't got it. 1 minute from shut that door. I think I've already done a shut that door at the moment. I reckon somebody's timing me on shut that door, aren't they? They as soon as I do it, they time it to the next one. Absolute mad. Who we got? Apart from Diane Abacus. Yeah. I haven't mentioned him for a while, but I saw Belfield do a video the other day where apparently his suitcase of props has been mixed up with somebody else's suitcase. So he's got their bras and knickers, and they've got Carol Vordenholtz's knockers, and they need to do a swap back over again. I do wonder whether he's managed to recover his wares, and apparently Diane Abacus was in there as well. I must admit, it's not funny because he needs his gear, but that did make me chuckle just a little bit. Extinct Pooter. Need for Cabby's MPs, not kidding. Well, you need more people in there with an idea of what goes on, don't you? Finland banning CO2 powered home defence Emirates T4 line of products. Peter Smith. Matt Michael. I need a co-pilot for Camp Quirky. The sheeple will expect it. Saw a piece of way on about the poor kids mining for them. Yeah, it's awful. That's the other thing as well that they don't mention, isn't it? It's how the materials are mined for these batteries. More importantly, how they're disposed of afterwards. The environmental impact just isn't very well understood. Isn't understood at all. It's a bit mad. 168 likes. Well, we're at 170 now. That's wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Well, everybody, we are coming up to about an hour, and I'm going to celebrate. Blood nose, shut that door. You're absolutely spot on with your timing there, my friend. I'm going to celebrate with a shut that door. Anyway, we're coming up to the hour. I'm very pleased that my voice has lasted this long, which means I'm back on form and I'm back in the groove, and hopefully we can get some other bits and pieces going on the channel as we were able to before. If you haven't done so already, if I can ask that you hit the like button. We've done pretty well with that this evening. I'm very pleased, and shows a nice bit of interaction. Again, as I said at the beginning of this live stream, I just want to reach out to the citizens of Brooklyn, those that were tied up with what happened this morning on the subway, and hope that there are recoveries and not long-lasting psychological damage from something like this. It must have been very, very frightening indeed. And I hope that the perpetrator is found very quickly. I mean, they may even have been so while we've been sitting here talking about it. Who knows? And I'll try and find some more information. If you are new to the channel and you've only just done so, hopped on here, please hit the subscribe button as well. Let's get that going, and have a look in the description, the links and everything. There are other ways you can support the channel, and other ways you can find us as well. I do apologize if I've not mentioned certain things that people have said in the chat. I try to get to everybody, but it's not possible all the time. There's somebody that kept sending me the same message over and over and over again. I didn't feel it appropriate to read it, but I did take note of it. I do that sometimes as well. I'll be on tomorrow, probably about the same time again. I'll pre-schedule it as I have been. And until then, I wish you all well. See you tomorrow, and toodaloo.